Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wins here for the Lakefront Basket 2 and the Lakefront Links 9-hole cup here in Golf Clash the game. In this video I will take you through all the 9 holes, showing you the new placement of the pins and how I think you shall be playing the shots. Have in mind that you don't have to play like I do, and I'm trying in the videos as well that where I do feel that I may be taking some aggressive routes, I'm trying to explain some more conservative routes as well. But have in mind that when I'm doing these playthroughs, I'm giving you my opinion of what is the best chance for a drop. And that may not align with what you think, and it may be a little bit too aggressive sometimes than what you think, or it might be a bit conservative to what you think. But my goal is always to help. That's my main focus. Before we have a closer look at all the videos, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Doing that helps the channel a lot, and you can do all of those 3 things without it costing you a dime. If you are like myself, that you do want to take your game to the highest level possible, scan the QR code here on the screen or use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy that is in the description down below. That will take you to our Patreon platform where we do have all our premium guides. Last but not least, the info box on the right hand side gives you the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Let's go to hole number 1. For hole number 1, we are going for a green, and that we do by starting with a quarterback at P3 max rest. And the reason I'm using that club to start is to find a solid aim point. And having a club that is not at a max or a min line will always be making it less consistent. Swapping to a poke, bag 7 topspin, 3 right spin. Now, have in mind though that if you do not have an apocalypse that gives you 7 bars of topspin, you can in that case go with any other club that you have that. You have extra mile level 9, we do have Thor's Hammer, but you also do have the big topper for those that do not have high level clubs. Then you can use as low as big topper level 1. Half a ball of right curl, max plus 20 is the adjustment, max overpower with a slow needle, and we clip the rough and we are on green. The key with this par 4 here, because it's a short par 4, is to find the gap between the trees, and that could be extremely difficult if you do not have the experience with this type of hole. For hole number 2, you can play this par 3 in 2 ways. 1, you go for a rough bump like you will see here in the video, or 2, you're bouncing on the fairway before the water and the rough and into the rough to roll up onto the green. The simplest one is the direct rough bump, even though it doesn't look that simple. But having to bounce over the water to hit the rough with the second bounce is gonna be a little bit more complicated. 4.5 bar backspin, 3 left spin. I'm pushing the rings here, otherwise you have to zoom out quite a bit because the tree there will be in your face. That will only be the case with this particular wind angle because, I mean, it's the worst wind angle you can get for the rough bump, I would believe. I adjust 1-to-1 here, and you can see that it needs a slight modification, but a mid plus 10 would definitely be around the hole. Again, the adjustment will most likely differ depending on what type of wind direction you have, and that goes the same with the spins, that you might have to go with a slightly different spins than here in the video. But again, it's an example here in a playthrough to attack the pin for an hole-in-one. Tough par 3, in my opinion, to consistently drop. Hole 3 is a very interesting par 5 in my opinion. I think this is a great design because it does really put you in a spot where the drive needs to be okay. Otherwise you could put yourself in trouble, and that would maybe danger not even getting the eagle. And also if you do have a tailwind, you have the possibility to send it, which is not easy, but again, it's a possibility. Starting with the QB at max rest, using the blue ring to the right by the rough line, 2 backspin, 1 right spin. I look to pitch this one short, and the reason I look to do that is for the fact that I do want to have a consistent rollout, because this drive on the right side there is very easy to have a glitch roll, if you're using too much backspin in that case, or topspin for that matter. If you do have a tailwind, you should be sending it, and you should be going then straight down with your drive, like to the left hand side if you're looking from where we're playing now, and that could possibly just bounce yourself up towards the green. But now when we do lay up here, we do again apply max plus 20 on the drive. Second shot's gonna play with no elevation from here. We are playing a different elevation if we're playing over to the left, and that elevation is going to be like plus 40 or something like that, because it is pretty severe downhill. But when it comes to, again, the right side play here, we are going for a rough bump, and then we do need to adjust, not as much as it may look like we have to do. So I'm using the yellow ring as my reference point, and from there I'm using spin to pin, whatever that becomes there in the end. You can see here that I'm taking loads of time fiddling around with the spins, and I recommend not to do that. Ball guideline slightly short of the hole, because the tailwind will let the ball land further up in the rough and also let the ball roll longer than what it shows. No elevation, and then it's all about to try to find the, the magic, the correct adjustment here. Center the ball and hit perfect, and this will miss just barely, but at least you get yourself an idea on how to attack this hole. You don't have to go for the rough bump if you don't feel confident with that. You can go and bounce on the fairway directly if you so want that, but I do believe that the rough bump is somewhat neglecting the ball from being extra pushed by bouncing several times on the fairway, so therefore the rough bump will always be my first choice. For hole number 4, we are playing an NMT with our sniper. For sniper 10, you can play our P2 plus ball, and for a sniper 8 or 9, it's a P3 ball, to make sure that you always open with sniper when it's time to take your shot. 5 backspin and 1 right spin, and you're gonna see here after this shot that we would need a little bit more right spin, but the idea of this type of play is to give yourself a safe birdie and not mess around with any of the bunker and the rough there before the green. Adjust mid plus 10, which is 1-to-1 with our sniper level 10. And you can see that the ball comes down with lovely speed, and it comes down right there in the end. You can see that it trails back there in line. Just need a little bit more right spin, then we have a really good chance for a drop. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament Text Guides for Expert and or Master Division for the Lakefront Links 9-hole cup. It's new pins for the Lake Wabasca, which is a course that is generally tough anyway, but we are excited to get cracking to get you to the weekend round in the easiest way possible. Obviously, we have other guides on our platform as well, so if you're looking to improve the tour play or the checkpoint challenge, you can do so as well. Bundle it together or buy alone, it doesn't really matter. You can start as low as $3 for 30 days. Scan the QR code here on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy via the link that is in the description down below. On hole number 5, I start with the rocket and a P3 ball at max. This to find a firm max line, because as for those of you that have followed me for quite some time know that I value consistency with our aim point, and if we can find a min line or a max line using a different club, I will do that just for the sake of the consistency, because it doesn't take more than like 1 second to change bag, or maybe 2 seconds or something like that, and I do believe we shall be able to waste those seconds for that consistency. Using 2 left spin, or maybe it was 3, I did not look at that properly, but we're using left spin, and here we're going to use either backspin or topspin depending on what wind angle we have. The intention here now is to have this ball roll nicely down the fairway without endanger going into the rough there at the top. Going into the rough there at the top will put you in a spot where you might not reach for the green in 2. Because now we are going to go for a rough bump to pin. The rough bump here is an aggressive one. You need to have that in mind. So we're doing an aggressive one by looking at the rough that is above the bunker. You can see that we have like 3/4 of a ring in terms of distance from, you know, the rough and the bunker to the rough and the fairway, and that is like an okay margin if you feel confident by going with the rough bump in general. But if you do not feel confident with that, or you don't feel confidence with your own skills in those type of scenarios, use all the backspin and go directly on the green instead. You don't have to force yourself playing a way that you don't want to. But in this playthrough, I'm obviously trying to show you what I believe is the best routes to get yourself a drop, because that's what it's all about, to be in the top of the leaderboard. But again, I can't stress that enough, that we can play this hole by using just backspin, going directly on the green. The drop rate will be very minimal, but in the end you will never endanger missing the rough, and then if so, getting a par instead of the birdie. Hole 6 is going to be very interesting in my opinion. This, as it is a difficult par 5, and I do kind of like the design of this hole, where if you do have a tailwind, you can use a topspin boost ball and you can go down the left hand side and somewhat reach all the way over to the green area. You do, however, risk going into the water if you have a bad drive, so the safest way of playing this hole is to go on the right hand side to just lay up short, using 2 left spin and 1 backspin. And I'm starting here at P3 max rest. So with a P3 ball, we are at max distance. I'm using a P5 ball here, and this will allow me to reach to attack the pin on the second shot and not just have to play it safe for the eagle. I'm using a berserker just for reference to keep this playthrough completely free to play, but if you do have the possibility to play with a special ball, that will be so much easier and it will give you a much better chance for a drop on the approach. Second shot, I'm using my sniper, and now, listen. Same thing applies on hole 6 like it is on hole 5. I want to show you the best chance for a drop, and the best chance for a drop from here is to go for an aggressive rough bump. But if you do not feel confidence with that type of play, then you can always use backspin and land on the fairway above the rough. But again, the difference between doing a rough bump and bouncing on the fairway is that you have more bounces and also higher bounces when it comes to bouncing on the fairway. That will let the wind have a much greater impact on the ball after it hits the ground. And that's why we are going for a rough bump when we are trying to dial in shots like this, because we have a very small bounce when the ball hits the ground, and then it rolls all the way, and therefore the wind will affect the ball much less with a shot like that, and we therefore see that as a better opportunity to be consistent with. But again, can't stress enough, you play the way you want to play. If you do feel that that's too much risk for you, use all the backspin on your club, attack the pin, and use the listed adjustment here that you have on the info box on the right hand side. For hole number 7, we do recommend that in crosswind and tailwind to start at P5 min line, using the yellow ring to the right by the rough line with our quarterback, using 2 right spin and 2.5 bar backspin. You can see that the ball guideline is approximately 2 green squares left of the pin, but it's all accounted for. Because what I value here on this one, where it's very hard to see the pin anyway, that we do have a firm landing spot and an easy spin, and then the ball guideline will be offset either right or left, or it will not be. It doesn't really matter in the end. We just want to connect all the dots by using then the correct adjustment in the end. Always try to use the simple stuff and try to value those first, and then the more technical stuff, then you can compensate if so with adjustment or using other type of simple spin and such. This is a big green, and getting an hole-in-one here will definitely be possible, but it's not going to be a gimme. Have in mind, if you're not getting up the hill there, you will fall down, and then you will actually have a short iron to pin, not a wedge. That's how big the green is. So make sure to get the ball up there. I adjust a mid plus 10 here in this video. And the last thing I want to say is that you can only play with a driver in headwind and crosswind. In tailwind, you're going to have to play with a wood club. On hole number 8, the only wind we don't want to have is this wind, because we do not want to have headwind. This is a long par 4, and headwind will most definitely not be our best friend, if we put it that way. I'm starting with a QB at P3 max stretch line, looking at the white ring to the left by the rough line. Then I'm swapping to my APOC and sniper bag. APOC I'm using because it has the most power. It will allow me to adjust as furthest away from our max club, and then we're keeping it 5 topspin. Max plus 5 is the adjustment, and I'm using once again the 5 topspin, max overpower. Here, if you have the possibility to play with a P4 or P5 ball, that needle that you're playing with will be completely slow, and that's obviously the benefit from playing with a special ball and not just going completely free to play. The second shot here, we're going to use the sniper. I do personally feel that there is a little sticky spot there on the right hand side that we're going to try to catch. So I'm going to set up my sniper fairly close to the bunker, and you can see me fiddling around a little bit with the spins here, where I eventually then settled with half a bar of backspin. But when it comes to spots like this, we're always going to try to maximize the value in attacking the pin. And maximizing the value you do by trying to find those spots where the ball guideline, if you're moving left or right, it's basically like it's sticky, like a sticky spot, or what we would like to call a funnel. If we find those type of spots, the drop rate will increase a lot. Adjust is done, and I just want to be perfectly clear with if it's a tailwind, headwind, crosswind, it's going to differ. And the intention, like I said, is always going to be to try to get the ball in the hole. We hit the rough, we roll down nicely onto the pin, and we're dropping for a nice eagle. Hole number 9, starting in an NMT position with, I mean, we can go QB if we would like, or we do with a poke. So a poke, you can start with any ball, like even a basic ball if you so like. And when it comes to QB, it needs to be a P3 plus ball, just so you have that in mind. 6 topspin only, max plus 20 is the adjustment. And once I've adjusted, I will be going max overpower with a slow needle. The intention here now is to bounce on the fairway, to go into the rough, to roll out on the other fairway. And the further we get on the second fairway, the easier the second shot will be. So you can see here now that with 6 topspin, we're rolling out nicely, but just imagine if you have more topspin to use. I would recommend that you use as much topspin that you can, and then you will get obviously to roll further and have a much better chance on the second shot. Now, we're gonna do the second shot as well, and that's with the Grizzly. Not maybe the ultimate position here, but for display, I'm trying to use the bunker on the left as one of my references, together with the white ring in this instance. You see the white ring to the left by the bunker, and then I am applying spin, so I'm having the ball guideline to go at the hole. What I do miscalculate here is that we are bouncing where it's slightly uphill, and bouncing where it's slightly uphill means the ball is not going to roll as long as it shows with the ball guideline, especially when we do have a slight headwind as well. Adjustment is good as we are going just short in line, but have in mind that if you do have some type of headwind component here, make sure to have the ball guideline just through the hole, because this is, in my opinion, the absolute worst way to miss a par 5 or a drop in general by going then short in line. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Pro and Expert and Division with the new pins of the Lake Wabasca, so-called the Lake Wabasca 2 here in the Lakefront Links 9-hole Cup in Golf Clash the game. Scan the QR code here on the screen. We'll go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy via the link in the description down below and sign up for our ultimate tournament text guides. Obviously we have more than that, just not the tournament guides. We have checkpoint challenge and tour play as well. So sign up and start your journey in becoming a better player today.